telephone conversation between Ron Wyatt and John Hamilton, Oxfordshire County Council, 2010.
It's Ron Wyatt.
Ron, how are you?
I'm alright, how are you?
Thank you.
Good. I wanted to talk to Chris really because we met Friday before last and I sent him an email and tried to get hold of him and he was going to get back to me last Friday but he didn't. And I is he on leave this week?
No, he's in, but he's in London today.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On a council matter. I'm not going to tell you review with this going with Robert Hanson to...
It's nice to know I'm not the only one that attracts that kind of thing or interest, but I just I don't know if he talked to you about this situation. He said he was going to, but
he hasn't mentioned anything. I didn't see him today. Let's say he's off. I'll chat to him tomorrow to see what's going on.
I mean, it did. I mean, from my end, we appear to be getting mixed messages, you know, from Chris and also from Rob Dance, and I know, you know, how things work, but I just thought that we'd come to an understanding over at Waterstop, and it appears that we haven't. So, you know, I really want to know where we are with it, John.
You had a meeting on site with them both, didn't you?
The fun?
You had a meeting on site with them both. What's the course of you, didn't it?
Yeah, I had a meeting on site with Robert and Chris together, and we decided on a course of action, and then, because we couldn't really make out what needed to be done, I met Chris over there on the Friday, last Friday, and I mean, the general sort of consensus of opinion was that there was nothing that could be done. You know, everything that needed to be done had been done, and I could cancel the plant that was coming onto the site the following week. That was how things were left. And then, following that, on the following Wednesday, I got a letter or an email from Rob Dance, which more or less took us back to the previous situation. And I just didn't...
Site, did you?
Beg pardon?
You had plants coming on site?
Yeah.
To do what?
Well, we had plant coming on site just to...
Take material away?
Well, okay, to do whatever needed to be done.
Right.
Well, I mean, we just didn't know what needed to be done because the levels that we put in over there, well, we haven't put them in, our contractors have, it just showed that we were at least level, and in some cases below, the previous levels of the contours before. And I think Chris understood that, and from that we decided that there was no more. Well, I didn't decide anything. It was his opinion that there was no need to bring anything else on the site, and that's how it was left. And now I've had a letter from Rob Dance, which blows that apart, really, you know. And I can answer the letter. I'm not useless, but you know, I just wanted to talk to Chris first and see what was going on.
Right. Okay. So when did you get this letter from Rob?
I got it last Wednesday. Well, I got the email last Wednesday and followed up with a letter which I received yesterday, the same text, you know. But I don't know where to go from here, really, John. It's a difficult one. And I was quite prepared to bring plant onto the site just to get it off, get it out of the way. You know, and do what needed to be done. But if we could work out what needs to be done, then I'd do it. But we just do not know.
Right. Okay. I'm loath to get involved, Ron.
I know you are, but I also know that you're his gaffer.
People got their fingers in the pie. I don't want to. You know.
You don't want to contaminate your fingers. I know. I know that, but you are Chris's boss. He told me that.
He's the line manager, yeah.
And he said that he would talk to you about it.
Okay, well he hasn't yet, so
okay.
He's in tomorrow, so I'll have a word with him.
All right, John.
Okay.
I don't want to involve you because I know, you know.
I must admit, this is talking totally off the record. I'm not having any involvement, which goes back when I was last on the site. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know where all that material went. If I was to walk that side, I could tell you now that's waste. That's new material needs taking off.
Yeah.
saying that you just move that or move it around or get rid of it off site and you know that would be sort of showing the requirements of the court order or whatever it is.
Well, we're quite prepared to put plant onto the site, you know, and in fact I'd arrange for it to come onto the site. But you say you know where it is, but I don't know where it is now. And the levels that we've been...
I can tell you now, I could walk on that site now and I know there's a load of material. I haven't been on there, but there's a load of material down by that river.
Well, you see, this is not...
That last there, it was such an unnatural sort of rise from the river bank. It sort of comes in and then it rises up and then levels off again. That's clearly not a natural sort of feature.
Well...
You know, it's obviously grassed over now and probably blends in quite well, you know, well with the surrounding landscape. But I would say that's, you know, an area where, you know, to start off.
Well, I could show you...
I've not been involved, so...
No, I know that, but I could show you photographs that shows the actual contours of where that land, how that land sat before we actually came onto the site.
Right.
And it might surprise you. And I showed the same photographs. I showed them to Rob, and I showed them to Chris. And also the actual plan that we've got from Jonathan Davey, who was the consultant there. The plan that he produced, which was to be the enforcement plan, were actually lower than the levels that he's given us. We're lower. And in most of the instances, we're right. We're right on the button. And I mean, at the end of the day, John, we're trying to build a golf course at the end of it all. I'll take the point you're making, but I don't mind people getting...
I think, you know, ways of getting you out of the... I'm not saying ourselves the hole that you're in. I think again, I haven't been involved in it. I've been secretary, but to my mind, it would seem from your end, focus, you'd be sure that willing to start moving material.
Well, I am. We have, and to that extent, I mean, we actually moved 4,000 tons of material off the site last September, and we've had absolutely no credit for that whatsoever. But that's another matter. But one thing I would say to you is there's a copse over there which shows the level behind the driving range. It shows the drop behind the driving range, and that was a drop that came all the way along there. And that's where I think Rob has his difficulty. But I can tell you that what is there now is exactly the same as what was there before. And that...
I walked along there 2 years ago now, along the footpath there.
Yeah.
And that copse, there's material sort of coming up the trunks of some of the trees. So
well,
the material that's been deposited in there.
Yes, but...
Where's that come from?
Well, you know, that was done before our ownership.
Was it?
It was. If you look on an aerial photograph of the land before we owned it, and there's plenty of them around, you'll note that little copse there, the trees, that was there before that was put there by John Ball. And what's more, he actually got a grant to put them in.
I know the trees were there, yeah. What I'm saying is there's a lot of material. It looks as though it's not the sort of the base of the trunk level. It looks as though it was a couple of feet up the trunk, as though it's material that's been brought in.
Is that over behind the driving range?
That's right behind the driving range, yeah.
Well, there is a haul road there, of course. We had to cut a haul road through there.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, to actually get onto the site. But where it runs down towards the river, we've not touched that at all. Not at all. And that actual slope there is mirrored by the slope all the way along that side, and it's also reflected in the 60 contour. I mean, there's a 60 contour that comes up from the river that runs all the way from the mill, or the back of the mill, and it goes right the way up to the back of the driving range. And you'll find, if you put the levels on there, we've had all the levels have been put in by our contractors, and it shows that either we are right on the level, or we're low on the level.
How long has the material been there now?
How long's the material been there?
Yeah.
Well, it's been...
It'll be sinking, it'll be settling anyway, so it's going to get lower, isn't it?
Well, it probably will, John, but, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to get away with anything. I'd rather just I'd rather have...
No, I don't, you know, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just thinking, you know, you've gone through a hell of a lot of aggravation and hassle over the last few years. I'm just thinking one way of getting out of it would be to, when you've got this court order hanging over you, I don't know when that is due to run out.
Well, it's just due to run out on the 5th of May. But
I don't know, have you done any work at all?
Yes, we have.
May then, when it was first put down?
Well, we've actually taken off-site 44,000 tonnes.
Right, so we've got records of that, have we?
Yes, you've got waste transfer notes to account for all of that. That's how much has been taken off. And now we've probably got another 20,000 cube that was allowed to remain on the site after the buns. There's the two buns, the demarcation bun that runs along between the two courses and the bun that runs up alongside the driving range. There's about 20,000 cube in that. So if you add that to the 40,000 tonnes that's been taken off, you're getting somewhere near the amount that was agreed came onto the site at the 1999 planning inquiry that you attended and I attended. I mean, somehow, John, the figure has been pushed up to about 240,000 cube, and it's just ludicrous. I mean, it was never that amount.
Well, I don't want to get too... Really, I'm leaving that to Chris and Rob Dance and Robert Hanson to resolve it.
I can understand that, but imagine my confusion, because I was over there with Chris and I didn't prompt him at all. I didn't try and twist his arm or anything like that. It came from him. He said, I just cannot see the point of any more excavation work taking place. And I said, well, look, what's going to happen? He said, leave it to me. And he said he'd speak to you about it. Now, nothing has happened since then.
But that's when he said that to you when? Last week he was saying?
He said that to me a week last Friday. I spoke to him on the phone last Wednesday, and he said, well, don't start making a rumble now. He said, just wait for me to come back to you by Friday.
I must admit, I've been sort of in and out of the office all last week on various other bits and bobs. Things are quieting down now, so when he comes in, I'll have a word with him and see.
Okay, John.
Take it on from here.
Okay. I just want to know where we stand with it, that's all.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll have a chat and get him to get back to you.
And whether the plan is wrong. You know, I mean, if the plan's wrong, then the plan's wrong, and I think we'll have to either accept the plan that we've got as being right, or a new plan to be drawn up. I don't know what they do, so long as we make some progress.
Yeah. Well, I understand that if we're going to start telling you to move material off, you need to know from where and to what level.
That's right.
But I'll have a word with him and get him to get back to you.
Okay, I appreciate that, John.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, then.
Thank you.